Hello, everyone. Good morning, good day, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are in the world. PL Stewart here. Another one of these spontaneous live videos. It's Saturday morning for me in a warming up Canadian March Saturday. So always nice to see spring seemingly on the way. Bit less snow than we've had recently, and things seem to be warming up. I can actually see a bit of grass today, so which is great. Purpose of today's video: a bit of a overview of an incredible series that I have just been captivated with. Something really unique that I think really deserves a lot more love, and that is a series by the author Jason Shannon, and that is The Hounds of HARUJIN. So this is actually a mammoth series. I have the version that's split into two volumes, but I'll get into more with that later. But although these are clearly chonkers, as I will get into, they read really fast. They're fast paced. They're so engaging. Don't be intimidated by the size of these bad boys. They really do read fast. So and just absolutely fabulous. I've been so fascinated by the series. I finally recently finished volume 2. So let me get into what they're all about essentially. So but quickly, I'll just say that it's essentially a single collection containing the entire story. It's a two volume. There is a 2 volume set. There's an omnibus. So like I said, there's that single collection, and there's also I believe the author did like an episodic release, so you can get 8 individual books as well. But I have these are from the author himself. I was privileged to get author signed copies through the author, so I have the volumes 1 and 2 version of these awesome books. So quickly about Jason Shannon. Full disclosure, friend of mine, is a Canadian author. He writes very talented. He could write in multiple genres and subgenres. I think his first novel was The Zimmer Insurgency. I believe that's sci-fi. I haven't read it yet. He's got other books out there: The Moon Panther, Rain's Agenda, Attila the Valley. He's got some really amazing stuff. Again, very diverse set of writings. This is so far. This is my favorite from what I've read for him. This is just absolutely fabulous. So, what it's about? I mean, I guess if I give you an overview, it is the series is set in the backdrop of this energy crisis and economic collapse and a kind of dystopian future Australia and future world, our world, but it's it's descended into shall we say as much a combination of extreme order and extreme chaos, right? It's a sprawling narrative. And the Australia is ruled and dominated by these Mongol-inspired conquerors. So essentially, inspired by descendants of the great Genghis Khan, the first ruler, the first Khan of the Mongol Empire, which of course was in the 11th, around 12th century. So this and the Mongol Empire started, I believe, 1206, and Genghis Khan and his descendants ruled the Mongol Empire well into near the end of around 1294, approximately. I believe Kublai Khan was the last Khan of that dynasty. So it's a dynasty lasting approximately 100 years, essentially. But this is these are the inheritors of that dynasty in a futuristic or alternate Australia. So it makes for fascinating stuff. You're moving the location from the Eurasia model, and you're putting it in Australia. So really interesting, really well done. How Jason decided to do this. So in any event, So it's set in this future Australia. It follows the rise of the descendants of HARUJIN, who's the main ruler of this dynasty, and he ushers in this new world after this. I mentioned this global economic collapse. So his descendants end up continuing the line and ruling this Australia. But there's in a Game of Thrones type political machinations. His descendants, there's various khans and nobles. They vie for power. So there's a lot of political intrigue. There's a lot of really great action, really dynamic. You have these khans and rulers who are not the nicest of people a lot of times, and their rule is definitely seen as oppressive in many ways. And of course, with that, that incites rebellion and uprisings and people who want to depose them and usher in a new order. So where this begins in part one, this volume one, with the assassination of one of the ruling Khan's nephews. And what that does is the ruling Khan elects to call for his one of his sons. Is actually his eldest son, who has abdicated all rights to the throne. He's kind of estranged from his father, and his son is essentially like a Buddhist monk, and he's very reclusive, and he's very smart and somewhat of a detective. So the Khan wants his son, his eldest son, who is no longer vying for the throne and is kind of autonomous and away from the politics and intrigue, wants him to investigate and solve this murder. So the son is Tamerlan. Really interesting. He's kind of on this self-imposed exile. He has eschewed again the court life and court politics, but now he's drawn back in, right? So and then you have the Khan himself, who really is he's someone who's essentially he's disassociated himself from rule. He's isolated himself. Cares much more about being with his harem than the fact that his rule in some ways seems to be crumbling around him. There's uprisings, there's revolts, there's this dissidence, but he just wants to be with his harem, and that's what he immerses himself in, and essentially leaves the rest of his family to run his dynasty, and that's not a good idea. In any case, you can kind of guess that again, lots of political intrigue, lots of backstabbing and maneuvering, again, rebellion, revolution. A lot of the main characters are essentially part of the resistance against the Khans and their rule. There is a lot of because these are the descendants essentially of a historical figure like Genghis Khan. There's a lot of savagery, the way this regime rules, and it you see the court, which is a lot of it's focused on concubinage, so these courtesans, and their role is really unique and interesting in this book, and I don't want to spoil things, but so you have this court that's centered around these royal courtesans and these nobles and khans. You have assassins, and you have revolution, invasion. There's all kinds of things going on, but it's really it's wonderfully done. It's so massive in scope, like it's just it's fabulous stuff. It blends the historical legacy of Genghis Khan and his descendants with science fiction. It's got a little bit of everything. Again, lots of little intrigue and fabulous action scenes. And like I said, this reads so fast. These chonkers, these 800-page installments, I have the two of them together, completed. They're really fast. It's really fast paced. Just fabulous, really dynamic. Something you're gonna treasure and savor. Jason's prose is fabulous. It's smooth. Yeah, it's engaging. There's lots of humor, very dark humor. You laugh out loud. Lots of horrible stuff happens to these characters, but it's amazing to see what they undergo and what they overcome. There's lots of tragedy. There's romance. There's a bit of everything in these. So I really think it's something to enjoy. Again, it's you have this legacy from Genghis Khan, right? And and set in the 13th century, these the former empire, the Mongols have gained fame, notoriety in the present setting of this book. That is definitely, again, the inheritance of their ancient predecessors. And, they have holding on to power as is difficult. And that is proven in these books, how difficult it is to maintain an empire and hold on to power and the things that can fracture it. So that's a quick review of The Hounds of HARUJIN by Jason Shannon. Again, wonderful, wonderful series. Check it out. Again, don't be intimidated by the size. They read fast. Fabulous books that I have thoroughly enjoyed, and I can't wait to read more. I understand there's some follow-up stuff coming regarding this series. I will definitely be delving into that. Volume 1, when I read it, I believe a year ago or 2 years, it was one of my surprise top books of the year. And Volume 2 is definitely going to make an appearance on my top books in 2026, no doubt. These are absolutely wonderful. And another indie author that's definitely worth your time, Jason Shannon, and a series that I think you should definitely check out in Hounds of HARUJIN. Fabulous stuff. So that's my quick overview of the series and Jason Shannon's Hounds of HARUJIN. Go pick it up. I will put links to these Goodreads buyer links, Amazon, etc., in the video. All right. Thanks a lot, folks. And we'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye now.